Yeah.
You are listening to The Black Landscape with Andrea Spearman, where Black excellence is always trending. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Andrea Spearman, and this is The Black Landscape, where we engage with emerging and established Black leaders here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts or in the comments of our social media. I'm Andrea, and I'm a light-skinned Black woman with my dark brown curly hair tucked away under a head wrap that is Black with a pattern of red, yellow, blue, and green dots. Today, I'm wearing my burgundy sweatshirt that reads in white letters, Be You. No truer words said, amen? We are here with special guest Rohan DaCosta. Please describe yourself to the people and welcome.
First off, I want to say thank you for having me. I am a caramel-toned, short Black man, and I'm wearing a beanie and a t-shirt and a gold chain that has a pendant with Martin Luther King on it, and it kind of spins around. It's kind of dope.
Okay, we love a short king.
There we go.
Especially one that has the king, because we believe in the power of free speech.
Yeah, MLK, he's the true king. I'm a short prince.
Okay, well, come on, Short Prince, welcome. And for those who may not be familiar, please briefly share who you are.
All right, so as you said, my name is Rohan DaCosta. I am a multi-disciplinary artist, an entrepreneur from Chicago. I've been out in the Bay Area for 10 years, and so my focus is primarily photography, writing, poetry, and arts curation.
Yeah. And let's go back to the beginning, because you said, you're not from here. You're from the windy city of Chicago. I got some family out there, but let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah. What was growing up in Chicago like?
I think most people know Chicago from pop culture, from the South Side. You hear it in the music. The South Side definitely represents Chicago very deeply, artistically. I'm from the North Side of Chicago, and Chicago is one of the more segregated big cities in the country. So where you are from in the city can dictate how how people approach you and treat you. So the South Siders get a lot of up north. I grew up around a very diverse neighborhoods. So I grew up in Rogers Park, Chicago, and then some of the north suburbs, like Evanston. Growing up there in a diverse community, I got to grow up and see a lot of Mexicans in my neighborhood, a lot of Caribbean people in my neighborhood. And in West Rogers Park, I got to see a lot of Middle Eastern people, Arabs, Jewish people, Indian people, and so and of course we have our Puerto Ricans in Humboldt Park and Vietnamese, Chinese. So Chicago has a really healthy mix, a lot of different types of cultures. And being up north, it means that I got exposed to a lot of different types of people from an early age. And I think that made me really good at being able to talk to people and relate to all sorts of people. I don't want to, because I could talk about Chicago forever, but I'll say this last. It's a very big arts town. It's a very big sports town, fashion, culture, museums, food. Some of the best food you'll ever have in any city in this country will come from Chicago. I guarantee it. So I grew up kind of spoiled when it comes to culture, fashion, food, and sports and all that. So whenever I go somewhere else, there is this okay, y'all, this y'all downtown? Oh, this what y'all got? Okay, that's cool. But so yeah, if you grow up there, you're spoiled in a lot of culture and things like that.
So as a kid, were you involved with the arts early, or were your parents involved with the arts early? How did you come about to finding that discovery in yourself of wanting to explore?
I would say, I definitely expressed myself as a creative very early on in life. I used to draw in my, like a lot of kids used to draw on the furniture in my house and the walls in
Uh,
my, used
oh,
to
you
be,
was one of them kids. Okay.
I mean, it was in I think I kept it confined to my own room, but I wasn't going crazy. But yeah, so I expressed myself at a very early age. I was really into drawing and like, and coming up, creating stories and stuff. I had a drawing pad all the time and I was reading all the time. And there were a lot of things that I had to, challenges or obstacles I had to experience myself firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
But on my father's side of the family, the Jamaicans, the Jamaicans, I have an auntie who was really into drawing and maybe she did a little painting, but, as a career, her career was nursing and stuff. So I didn't really have a template or a path to follow. I'll just put it like that.
Mm.
But I would say this, like my writing became the thing that let me know I was a real person with real feelings. It was a thing that let me know that the world inside me was just as real as the world around me. And it allowed me to cope with a lot of things. It gave me a sense of self-worth. It gave me someone to talk to when I didn't have someone to talk to.
Mm.
So
yeah, poetry,
Mhm.
poetry and writing down feelings, like that's, the outlet for a lot of people, a lot of artists. It's sometimes not feeling connected, as you said, to what's going on around you and having to dive deeper into self to get that expression out.
Yeah, most definitely. It once I saw I was, pretty good at it, then it just fed me like put more fuel to the fire to embrace poetry, embrace writing, embrace rapping.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've actually seen you perform without before we met officially. I've seen you perform some of your poetry at the Artist Justice event. I think it was either last year or a year before. I was like, who is this young person, this young man spitting this hot fire?
The short prince.
Did you get a chance to perform your poetry a lot in Chicago?
Uh, Nearly not at all, honestly. I may have
Oh.
I may have read poetry in public one time, and it was like a nerve-wracking, awful experience in a way. But at least it was one of those experiences where, like, all right, I did it, you know. But I really didn't start performing poetry until I moved out here. Really,
Mm. Had
you
you
know.
started your photography before you moved out here?
No, not really. I bought my first camera in Chicago. Uh, I would say, I honestly would say my photography journey started well before I even had a camera. Like, I've always been a visual artist, so my best skills as a photographer came without me even having a camera. I've never been a gear person that really understood the technical side of photography. I've always been an intuitive person where my eye was my greatest gift. And that obviously you don't need a camera for that. So my natural gift was understanding composition and understanding like what things resonated with my soul, the things that I was seeing.
Mm. So it sounds like things really started percolating and coming together once you came here to the Bay.
Yeah, a little kudos to the Bay Area. I will say this: Chicago made me and raised me. So Chicago is the greatest influence on my art, on me as an artist. The Bay Area is a place that I finally was ready to put myself out there more. And the Bay Area is a place that embraced me and allowed me to grow as an artist and network as an artist and collaborate as an artist. So Chicago made me, and the Bay Area really embraced me and nurtured this gift in a way. Now, I can't say that that would not have been possible in Chicago. I think it was just a timing thing where I was coming out of my shell in a way, so I was ready. And the Bay Area naturally feels like a place where collaboration is possible and even encouraged. So I have the Bay Area to thank for that.
Oh, absolutely. We love, oh, child, we love poetry here. The
Yeah,
poetry
so
lounges, oh my goodness, the poetry lounges used to be far and wide, and everybody has something to say back in the day.
yeah, I mean, can I tell you a little bit? Can I go on this little quick tangent about my journey?
Absolutely.
So I would say when I first came out here, I was like designing T-shirts and just like making music and just working. But I saw an ad in the newspaper, and well, SF Weekly, I believe. Anyway, I saw an ad for some poetry event in Berkeley, and I saw that this person named Cassandra Dallett was performing, and I was like, oh yeah, that seems cool. Let me go check it out. So I went to the reading, and I met Cassandra, and I met another poet named Alexandra Naughton, and these two people became two of my best friends in this community. And so how that happened, I met them, I bought Cassandra's book, got it signed by her, and then maybe a couple weeks later, I saw her on the train, and we got to talking. Found out that she actually is my neighbor. She only lived like 4 blocks away from me. And so we got to kicking it and got really close. And she ended up really being a supportive influence on me dipping my feet into the literary scene. So the literary scene, the poetry community, was really the first creative community that I became immersed in, that embraced me, and that gave me, gassed me up a little bit, gave me the confidence to say like, hey, I can do this, So I have to thank the literary community first. That was the first community. And then I got I got married. I am now divorced, but I got married to an artist from England, and
Oh,
she moved out. We met in Chicago, and then she moved out here, and she's a painter. And so through our relationship, I ended up um, being involved in the visual arts community, the gallery the fine art community, let's say. And so I was showing some of my photography in art galleries. And me and my ex-wife were really, making our way in that community as well. After we broke up, I got involved in doing portraits for artists, so I got to meet so many different young musical artists, community healers, and everything. So all of this journey gave me like a pretty well-rounded experience as far as creatives and entrepreneurs in the Bay Area.
that's the best way to do it, is to just jump right in. And I'm so glad that you said, you saw the thing in the SF Weekly. People got to be reading newspapers again, y'all. It's still stuff there. Even the physical versions. That's how we keep local community news alive. But so that dive into the community, that dive into especially the various mediums of the arts community, that can always be a rewarding experience, because like as you said, you never know who you're going to meet or who you're going to connect with or create relationships with.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and also like and just to show Oakland and the Bay more love, is just Oakland and the Bay Area is a place where I got to see some of my thoughts, some of my desires, and some of my dreams come into fruition. So, you know, I had always been used to like just writing poetry and writing it for myself mostly, but like here's the place where I got to like read poetry for people on top of like mountains. I got to see my work in museums. Like it's the place where I like it just really manifested and showed me there's a there's an audience for my thoughts and for my feelings.
There absolutely is. And we're going to return to that after this short break. To catch up on previous episodes of The Black Landscape, download on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, and Google Podcasts. Be sure to leave a review of 5 stars if you love us. When we come back, we will hear more from Rohan DaCosta. Looking for a one-of-a-kind retreat from the day-to-day grind? Welcome to Oakland's urban wellness paradise. Bee Loves Guest House is a boutique hotel with an art gallery and urban garden. Established in 2008 and set in a lovely Victorian home, Bee Loves Guest House is a perfect stay for the visiting artist, digital nomad, or business professional. Black woman owned, Bee Loves is an extension of artist and activist Tracy Belo Bartlow's lifestyle of wellness and creativity. Book your stay online right now by visiting bee-lovesguesthouse.com and be a part of this unique experience. "9301 Home" is a candle company based in Texas that embodies all the warmth and love that people feel at home. The current holiday collection features fragrances of pumpkin, amber, oak, spiced cranberries, cinnamon, Macintosh apples, and more that bring to mind shared childhood memories, happiness, and love. Purchase your holiday gift candles and wax melt sets today by visiting 9301home.com and receive a $9 flat rate shipping fee and free shipping on all orders over $125. And we're back with Rohan DaCosta, our short prince. What is Playdate?
Playdate is a interview series that I produce, spotlighting some of the more provocative and exciting talent in the Bay Area and hopefully eventually beyond. So what we do is just try to showcase artists, entrepreneurs, community organizers, people who are just impactful in their community. We do that through portraiture and a video interview. So we'll film an interview, we'll have a photo shoot, and so there's portraits that come out with the interview, and then we'll create a zine that is also released at the time the interview is released. I think I've been criticized by some family members by being interested in too many different things. And so this is like a culmination of all those things. It allows me to be a photographer. It allows me to be a conversationalist. It allows me to be an appreciator and celebrator of other people. And it allows me to do the thing I've always wanted to do, which was create magazines, and allows me to be a curator. And so I find it very fulfilling because I can do all these things in just one project. And it's easy to understand for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see that you have, this plethora of multi-talented folks. There's some multidisciplinary folks. There's some artists of all backgrounds here, and it's really beautiful to see all that different media come together, as you said.
Yeah, just to highlight what you're saying real quick, one of our latest issues was with a esthetician, like a skincare specialist, and they had some models. We took them down to the beach in Santa Cruz, and we did a photo shoot, me and my friend, our guest photographer, Hannah Thornhill, very talented photographer, but we all did a photo shoot on the beach and published this magazine based on it. It came out beautifully. And so that's just like one person, entrepreneur in skincare. But then the very following issue is this brilliant painter based in SF, Aaron Zhao. And so we look to be diverse. I'm not trying to just interview the same person again and again,
Absolutely.
We want to highlight like how diverse and talented this community is. I want the experience to feel playful. I'd like people to be able to sit down and tell us things that they would only tell people they feel comfortable around, and they feel comfortable enough to laugh and express their minds freely. And I just want to have fun with this project. I just want I spent so long making creative work that talked about a lot of deep subject matter or emotional subject matter, which I still will always do. But I have a whole other side of me where I'm silly, where I can be playful and fun, and I just want this project to have all those things.
I love that.
So I got a studio in West Oakland, and that's been a cool place for me to explore the portrait. So I do both outdoor and indoor. I embrace a lot of different types of photography.
Yeah. And I know at one point you do street photography because you have a book.
Yeah. Yeah, I started out as a street photographer, really. I mean, obviously that makes sense because not everyone can afford studio equipment and things like that. So the cheapest way to do things is just taking your camera out on the streets. And so that's how I started developing my eye. I'm always going to be a street photographer. Making the transition to doing more portraiture was intimidating in a way because with street photography, you can just react to the world around you, and you don't plan things you necessarily. You can just use your natural eye, and that was my initial gift. And um, that's the beauty of street photography is you just documenting what the magic that already really exists in the world. But with portraiture, you have to you really have to stage things and you have to be deliberate about things, and that's a whole other skill that was very challenging for me, even though I'm someone who is used to doing those things in other fields of creativity. Taking my camera and deciding, all right, I'm responsible for literally everything that happens in this image. That was intimidating at first, and also being someone who grew up kind of shy, it was very comforting for me to do street photography because I didn't necessarily always have to be right up on people. But with portraiture, you really have to be able to make people comfortable. You have to be a conversationalist. You have to be someone that helps someone to bring out the best version of themselves in that moment, or the version of themselves that you want to document in studio at that moment. And so that's a whole underrated skill about portrait artists that I don't think people talk about enough is the human side, the relationship side, is being able to make people feel comfortable and carry conversation and feel comfortable enough to do what you need to do in studio.
Awesome. So then that takes me to the next step, the future. Do you see yourself creating another body of work, whether it's in book form or again showing work in galleries again?
Oh, yes. I'm always going to, if I can, if the galleries will have me, I'm always going to want to show my photography in art galleries. I'm always going to want to engage in the fine art community. However, I'm not going to try to make that my primary focus as a career. But anytime I can engage with the fine art community and it makes sense with my bandwidth, I'm going to do it. I don't have enough time in my lifetime to complete every idea, but books are always a part of that. Like I want to write. There's a play that I want to write. There's a couple book ideas I want to write. I could not give a ETA on when any of that stuff would happen. But there's photo series that I want to create. You know, all those things. I'm interested in all those things, and I think I'll always be.
Well, we will stay tuned for all the work that you plan to do, and we look forward to what's next for you, Rohan. It's been really great getting to know you, to drill a little bit deeper. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me and feeling like my work and my journey is worth learning more about. So thank you.
Yeah, and tell the audience where they can find you and book you.
Oh yes, please book me. You know, I'm here to make people's photography dreams come true. So you can find me on Instagram mainly at Playdate Photo on Instagram. And that's I don't know if I should give my email, but if you want, my email is belongbetter@gmail.com. So the word belong and the word better at gmail.com. And that's mainly the way you can find me, those two ways.
And those links will be in our show notes. Tap in to support Black creativity. Thank all of you out there for listening and supporting another season. And again, leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts or in the comments of our social media. We always want to hear feedback from you. This has been another episode of The Black Landscape with Andrea Spearman, where Black excellence is always trending.